What's up, Gunplum Modelers? This is Strider Prime, bringing you a new edition of Gundam Models. And continuing with me finding some old magazines and old books and whatnot, I've come across some books or some material that I wanted to share with. And that is the series of role-playing books and magazines, books actually, that I've picked up back in the mid-90s, I would say early to mid-90s. I used to work in New York City for a good 5-6 years, and there was a store called Total Complete Strategist. You know what? I have to check because I forgot the where it is. I think it was called, let me see, an RPG store. RPG store in New York City. It's called the Complete Strategist. Complete Strategist. It's on 11 East 33rd Street. It was always like in my way of coming back from work. I'll stop by and take a look at a few things here and there. I don't do it every day. I was like, whenever I was in the mood, I'll do it like once a week, maybe some other things. They never sold any Gundam kits. They didn't sell any materials of anything back in the day, because again, to find Gundam models in New York City was a miracle. I know that back in that time, the only way you find Gundam kits if you went to Chinatown, because I heard that there were places that they were selling it, but at the time I never went to Chinatown. Instead, I went to this place and I picked up a few things, and just because, whatever. Let's review some of these. Now I have a few things. Let me put this in order in a way. So we'll begin with this Mechton one. Not much of information here that I can give. Just basically how. I guess this is basically a summary of how to use this in a game format, how to open it up, and usually if you're a game master, you keep this up front. I try to get as much information as possible. Welcome, loyal mecha heads. There we go, and clearly a description of what you can do in this game. A lot of detailed information, damages, and critical hits. Then we have the designs of the mechas themselves on the next page. Clearly influenced by Gundam. You could see some ideas here. The armor looks really nice. I don't know if they ever made pewter figures of this. Clearly, maybe the popularity was not big, not unlike battletech and heavy arms. That's actually a really nice design right there with that. If you look at that right there, this is a little crazy. And of course, it's referring to Mechton Zeta, the movie Mechton Zeta OVA. So, really, there's a anime for this. I've never seen it before. I don't think I guess it's their way of saying, if we are real. And of course, they try to borrow from Gundam the Dion incident, not the Zion or the Jayon as it did the Dion, which is kind of funny to see something like that. And of course, it has some background stories and some pretty cool things. I read this. I read this every now and then just to. I had a couple of friends that I used to play a lot with, but then they were going to school, they graduated, they moved on. One guy joined the military, the other one got married, and I've had these books for a while. Mecha. Let's see how this is. Now this book is really thick. Some good ideas referencing to Gundam. You could actually incorporate figures and model kits and whatnot from other genres into the series. Like there's some Valkyries there. Here's a full armor version of it, and I don't know if there's a lot of. I'm gonna peruse right through because the documentation is like is all there, but it's all like not compressed, but more like there's a lot of spacing here for other information. Well, some illustrations, but no detail. There's some photographs here. The last one is how to in this part. There's some sections on how to build model kits. Yeah, not that much of information. So now this one is the one that was really popular back in the 90s. It was new. I'll begin with the rule book version, which is Heavy Gear. Let me go from here. And Heavy Gear had its following. It has. I don't know if they ever made an anime version. I've heard something that they did, but I never followed through on that. So, and of course, there were video games. I believe Activision made video games of this. But here is like a comprehensive work of detail, especially like, you know, the backstory, the history of whatever organizations you'll be part of or wish to be part of. You can create your own character sheets, or, you know, use a template of character sheets. You could be a bartender, so, you know, or a booker, or field technician. These are things that was never incorporated in the game, because if you had the game back then, it was just basically you're piloting it. Like, this is way before Titanfall, way before that. A tavern owner, great. What's your skills? How to make a Long Island iced tea. Roll a 10 die to see if you can get a perfect Long Island iced tea. All right, let's just peruse a little bit further. You need some attributes, of course, perks and whatnot. Equipment is the one thing. I kind of like the illustrations of the equipment. Some weaponry is known. Like, I know what this one is. I've seen, that's a real life gun. Examples of body armor, terrain icons. That's, of course, if you have the supplement thing. Alright, let's just get to the good parts. Let me see if I remember the good parts. Well, the weaponry is basically, you know, for your character if you're moving about, but for the actual heavy gear itself, you have these type of weaponry. You know, some of them are attached weaponry, others are mobile. Auto cannons is basically the norm, especially regular cannons, auto rifles, mortars, grenade launchers, missile pack. Of course, missile packs galore. We've all seen that in many genres. Bazookas and beam weapons and rail guns. Again, this heavy gear falls under the same universe or same theory or same thing as Votoms, where it's not like towering mobile suits or mobile armors. It's basically a short mechanized unit. Very fast. It utilizes that weird, you know, skateboard like not skateboard, roller skates type setup on the feet to move about in the battlefields quickly. And then here's, like, you know, I kind of like this one, how to set up your regiments. You know, like how many soldiers per squad or per team, military police, engineering. That's kind of nice. I kind of like that. See, I kind of like these type of things. How to prepare your units into battle. And I know that they've made a lot of the figures for this. You could probably find it online. This goes on the 2 armies. So we saw 1 army, which I didn't follow. This one's called Southern Military Units. And it has these heavy units here. We just saw it a few moments ago. And here's another version of the heavy units. Alright, let's just keep emblems. Alright, so more terrain information. Let's get to the mechs itself. So we have, here we go. So we have the most common one, which is the Jaguar, the Hunter, the Grizzly, the Cheetah, the Mamba, the Jaeger. This is Cobra, right? Yeah, the Spitting Cobra. And the Iguana. Clearly, they use a lot of animal references here. Then we have some ground vehicles, the Badger, the Cayman, Elan, Camel, and then the Mammoths. These are referred to as Striders. The Mammoth Strider, which is really, that actually was pretty cool. I kind of like this design. It's a walker, but it also has some, I think, tank tread vehicles. Kind of like the missile pod in one arm. Clearly, it's a rip-off off the heavy armored units that was on the Space Marines. This is the Nanga. And as you can see, we just saw units from one group, which of course they utilizes on the other group, so it's like they don't have any more. And then of course we have the actual manual, the vehicles sheet, so you can have it there and write off some things, saying okay, this thing does this thing does that. It's all here. That's kind of cool. Then we have the technical manual. Breaks down the units or the technology of the heavy gears, different types of alloys, different types of communication devices, there are power plants. I kind of like that. Gives you more, but it also shows you some other vehicles. Hold on a second. More units. I think the same units as before. Sentries. But I kind of like. Alright, so we have like the hover tank there, we have the artillery strider there, the Mammoth. I kind of like this one, the Typhoon class heavy cruiser land ship. Look how many cannons this thing has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 massive cannons. About 10 anti-aircraft guns, missile pods and missile launchers everywhere. Clearly, this would have been nice to see that as a kit. And so that was the battleship. Here is the carrier. It has lesser guns, but clearly it's meant for either for the heavy gears. And that's right. I noticed that there was no fighters of any type. Vehicle technical design sheet. Oh, so now you can also design your own vehicle, following the same specs and all that stuff. Here's some more supplemental vehicles I've never seen before. Okay, here we go. So we got some cutaways of the designs of how this heavy gear works. This is the Hunter view, side view, and rear view. Top view. For something like this, that's pretty nice, but do you really need 2 pages to show... Hold on a second. Do you actually need to show what the grip looks? The joystick? Do you really need that? I don't know. Mammoth Strider. That's actually a really good design right there. I don't think there's anything else here. And then, of course, here's the hierarchy development of the heavy gears of, you know, what was the first one built, glossary, and whatnot. The last one is something that must have been included with this, but it comes with more. It's kind of like the Mech one that we just saw a few moments ago. And at a glance, weapon list, damage index, all that stuff. But then also you get these little stands where, you know, little figure stands, so you can cut and then fold, so you could put it on the table. The design is really nice. Pretty nice. If you want your own Strider or Mammoth vehicles, top down soldiers, don't know what that means. You have all that. I did my time on tabletop playing for you know, for a brief time of my history. I have a feeling I have another one. I just don't know where it is. But this is pretty much all the role-playing magazine materials that I've had. I am putting it up for sale. I just don't know if I'm doing it on eBay. But if anybody's interested, if anybody wants this piece of history, you know, message me, send me an email if you guys are interested, and I'll, you know, give you a good, decent price. I'm not going to kill you. Clearly, remember, these are books. These things are heavy. They're not as heavy as, you know, a Hobby Link Japan or a you know, magazine, but it's pretty big, pretty heavy, bit of bulk. We'll discuss prices and location if you guys are interested in it. I'd like to thank you all for watching me review my set of role-playing books and books here on my channel. And what can I say but stay tuned for more Gundam models yet to come. You guys all have a great day.